Good evening. I would like to call today's meeting of September 25th to order at 6 p.m. Mr. City Clerk, can you please conduct roll call?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Before I conduct roll call, I do like to make an announcement that Councilmember Jimenez, due to a work commitment, will be arriving late to today's council. Councilmember Tamayo,
Here.
Councilmember Torres,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Melendez,
Here.
Mayor Peralta.
And I am present. Mr. City Attorney, can you please announce all items for closed session?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Anyone who wishes to address the City Council on the one item that's listed on the agenda for closed session, this is RZ Capital versus Development LLC, would have had to fill out a card at this time and turn it into the City Clerk's office. Do we have any cards for closed session?
No speaker cards.
Having no cards for closed session, it's appropriate then for the City Council to recess into closed session for the one item under existing litigation as listed on the agenda, RZ Capital and Development LLC.
Thank you. We will go ahead and recess into closed session at 6:01 p.m.
Nice to see you. Likewise. How's everything? Good. Good. To hear that. Yeah. Nice seeing you.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for your patience this evening. I would like to reconvene from closed session at 7 p.m. Mr. City Attorney, can you please provide a summary of our closed session item?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The record should reflect that the City Council, with 4 members that are present at this time, present in closed session to discuss the one item that was announced under conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, RZ Capital versus City of Montebello. On that matter, the City Council was briefed on the status of that case and the fact that the petition for temporary restraining order was denied. And that there was no action taken by the City Council, and there's nothing further to be reported. That concludes my report from closed session. It is appropriate to continue with the open portion of the meeting.
Okay. So today for our invocation, we will have our city clerk and our pledge of allegiance, our city treasurer.
As we gather here today, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. We ask this in thy name. Amen.
Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. City Manager, are there any corrections to the agenda this evening?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, residents. Yeah, we have a couple of changes to the agenda pertaining to item number 12. It has been brought to our attention that there are typos on the attachment of item number 12, requesting approval for agreement number 4218 with NeoGov. While the total amount in words is correct, there's a discrepancy in the numerical figure. We want to note that. Also, the term end should be listed as June 30th, 2028, not June 30th, 2030. On another item, I also want to request that we table item number 8 for a future meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, moving forward, we do have ceremonial presentations, including our Citizen of the Month and proclamation for National Latina X Physician Day. If I can please have my colleagues join me in the front. Okay, so for this month, we do have a very, very special guest, and I would like to actually call him up for Citizen of the Month, Mr. Frank Salmone. I'm truly honored to be here tonight to recognize the extraordinary individual in our community. Today we gathered to honor someone who has dedicated decades of service to Montebello and its residents, Frank Salmone. Frank's journey began in 1969 when, at the age of 14, he and his family immigrated from Italy and made Montebello their home. Frank's life is deeply rooted in our city since his early days as a student at both Montebello Junior High School and Montebello High School, and he later earned his degree in political science at UCLA. After a successful 30-year career with Southern California Edison, he retired in 2011 and poured his heart into community service. And this has been completely evident by everyone who lives here in Montebello. For nearly 2 decades, Frank has been a dedicated member of the St. Benedict Church, serving on both the Finance and Pastoral Council since 2006. He has also been the president of the Italian Catholic Federation, Branch 111, since 2004, and serves as vice president of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles District of the ICF. His leadership in these organizations has not only fostered unity, but also strengthened our sense of community, creating lasting impacts for those in need. Just recently, Frank helped organize a successful golf tournament which raised funds to install playground sails at St. Benedict's Kindergarten to protect children from harmful UV rays. He is a driving force behind many charitable events that provide student scholarships, food baskets for families during the holidays, and support for seminarians and new mothers. Frank's work has significantly improved the lives of many in our community, helping us all to contribute to the betterment of Montebello. One of Frank's favorite events and one that has touched countless lives is the Feast of St. Joseph's Table at St. Benedict Church, which is actually one of my favorite events too. The food is completely spectacular. Where every March, Frank and his fellow ICF members offer a free pasta meal to everyone in attendance. It's a tradition that embodies the spirit of generosity and fellowship that defines Frank's approach to service. Frank's dedication always shines through, whether organizing picnics, helping restore historic landmarks, and welcoming Montebello's leadership to these events. Frank's commitment is about the events he leads and the lives he touches. He often speaks of his deep satisfaction when families thank him for scholarships for their children, knowing that his efforts have made a lasting difference in their lives. This selfless spirit inspires us all to do more for our neighbors, our city, and for each other. Frank, on behalf of the city of Montebello, thank you for your tireless dedication, for the kindness you show, and for the joy you bring to this community. You embody the very best of our city, and we are very incredibly honored to have you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our September 2024 Citizen of the Month.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, Mayor Scarlett and council members, for this great honor. I am humble and honored to receive the Citizen of the Month award. Thank you also to Diana Vasquez, she's right here, for taking the time out of her busy schedule to nominate me for this award. And to Daryl Hunt and his entire team for all their professional work to make this award possible, as well as all the staff at various city departments for their contributions. I also like to thank the St. Benedict's Church, all the pastors and staff for their support, and the St. Benedict's Italian Catholic Federation and the Knights of Columbus officers and members for all their assistance and contributions to our various charitable works for our community, helping to provide scholarships to students with high academic achievements, which helps them financially to continue their success in high school and college. Together, we can accomplish more than one can alone. So together, we assist, elevate, enrich, and invigorate the lives of many people in our community. Thank you, everyone.
So we are getting a little bit ahead of the ball game here. This is actually celebrated October 1st, but seeing that our next council meeting will not be taking place till after that, I did want to just prioritize the recognition of National Latinx Physician Day. I actually have three guests here who are residents of the city of Montebello who I would actually like to call up at this time. We have Maricela Isela Garcia, Jose Luis Gomez, Harmony Ann Crutcher Gomez. If you are here, please join us to the front. I am honored to stand before you today as we look to recognize a day of immense importance to our community, National Latinx Physician Day. Here in the city of Montebello, we are blessed to be a diverse, vibrant city, home to Montebello of many backgrounds. That's why on October 1st, we will celebrate the contributions of our Latinx physicians whose dedication, skill, and compassion have made an indelible impact on the health and well-being of our community. Latinx physicians serve not only as caregivers, but also as advocates, mentors, and trailblazers. Their representation in the medical field is vital to reducing healthcare disparities and ensuring culturally competent care. Across the nation, these healthcare professionals are leading the charge for a more equitable healthcare system, one that reflects and serves the needs of all people regardless of their background. We are especially proud of our Latinx doctors here in the city of Montebello who have been on the front lines, particularly through the challenges of the pandemic, working tirelessly to keep our families healthy and safe. They inspire future generations of Latinx physicians, reminding us of all that they face in our healthcare system and how much they are filled with potential. Today, we not only celebrate these individuals' achievements, but also commit ourselves to supporting and uplifting Latinx voices in medicine, whether by advocating for more opportunities for students in medical education or by ensuring that our healthcare policies reflect the needs of our community. We all have a role to play in advancing health equity. To our Latinx physicians, thank you. Thank you for your service, your dedication, and your leadership to continue to make a difference here, not only in our community, but the countless lives and individuals and families that you help. You are an inspiration to all of us. If we can please give them a huge, huge round of applause for their work.
Muchas gracias, alcalde. Gracias a toda la comunidad. Thank you very much. So this is actually our third annual National Latino Physician Day. It was started in 2022 because the shortage of Latino physicians is glaring. Only less than 7% of physicians in the country are Latino, where the population is 19% Latino, and we expect that 1 out of 3 people in the United States is going to be Latino by the year 2050. In California, we're nearly 40% Latino. And Latina physicians, there's only 2.4% of us. And it has been shown that our patients receive better care when they get it in a cultural and linguistically concordant way. Cuando el doctor habla el idioma del paciente, el cuidado es mejor. So the motto is, necesitamos más. And those are our efforts. We're going to try to bring awareness and try to increase the programs that increase the numbers of Latinos in medicine. Would you guys like to say anything?
I think you said it all.
Okay. I just want to thank them because an example of mentorship is they were actually my senior residents in residency. So mentorship and pipelines work. So I just encourage everybody in whatever field you're in, if you can, do mentorship because it's so important for our youth. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today to celebrate our Citizen of the Month, Frank, as well as our Latinx physicians here in the city of Montebello. We're extremely proud to uplift the incredible work that they're doing, not only here in the city, but regionally as well. Moving forward, we do have public comments on non-agenda items. Mr. City Attorney, can you please read the statement of oral communications before receiving comments?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. At this time, anyone who wishes to address the City Council on non-agenda items, it would be appropriate to have turned in a card to the City Clerk's desk and to be recognized. Anyone who wishes to address the City Council would need to fill out a card. Mr. City Clerk, do we have any non-agenda item requests?
Yes, we do.
We can proceed with those then.
First speaker is Michael Peterson, followed by Lisa Luna.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Peterson. I'm here from Siaka. I've been with Siaka for 15 years. Not very many of us last that long, but there are a few of us. There's been a theme tonight, service. It's a very noble concept, a very important thing to have in our communities. And that is the industry that Siaka is in. We are there to provide a very necessary service to our cities. Unfortunately, when we don't have enough staff, the service that we do provide takes longer and longer. As I said, I've been there 15 years. When I started, we had easily 30 animal control officers. Right now, we have 11. The pandemic really took a toll on our staff. A lot of people left at that time. And since then, we have had a tremendous problem trying to keep staff. It seems they hire new people, they get a little bit of training, and then they're gone. If you wonder why this is happening, you can look on our website, look at the jobs that are posted and open until filled, and look at the pay scale. We have a display over here with some examples of the pay scale. Surrounding agencies, our closest neighbors, Los Angeles County and LA City, their animal control officers start around $22 and change per hour. Siaka's animal control officers start at $16 and change per hour. The staff at Siaka, 100% across the board, we all care very much about our jobs. We care about the work that we're doing, the service that we're providing. We care about the community and our public. It becomes very difficult to continue to do our jobs where we are as costs are going up, as prices on everything are rising. We ask for your support and your help. We want to continue doing the jobs that we love, but we really shouldn't have to be slipping closer to poverty to do so. Thank you.
Next speaker is Lisa Luna, followed by Charles Leon.
Good evening. I am Lisa Luna, a veteran of Siaka for almost 15 years, one of the last few remaining. There are numerous complaints from the public how understaffed we are. Where is management? Why does it take 1 to 2 weeks just to get the animal I adopted and paid for, which contributes to the overwhelming capacity of the animals? Why are the dogs not getting fixed during adoptions? Why aren't we utilizing the donated blankets, toys, and treats enough? Why are there so many sick dogs? Why aren't the dogs getting walked by the extra help or doing interactions? These are the same questions I ask myself and management. I encounter countless animals interacting and socializing for the sake of the animal, adopter, and rescue. I endure daily safety hazards and have suffered heat illness last year inside the kennels. I've been through COVID-19, strep zoo, parvo outbreaks, and dog fights. Still, I am here. Despite breaking up an intense dog fight, saving his life, and got the wind taken out of me, there was no concern for me or the dog. I've already experienced retaliation, losing opportunities because I spoke to management regarding the facility's conditions. I was negatively labeled and dismissed. Management has recently received a firestorm of emails from the public becoming more aware of such conditions. Management continues to get raises and has 100% free medical, while the frontline workers are putting their lives at risk for the bare minimum. Calls are going to keep getting unanswered due to staffing, putting the community and animals at risk. New hires shouldn't be training each other. Part-time extra help shouldn't be training officers. Quality is going to drop drastically. Part-time extra help is being assigned to do full-time positions, such as receiving stray animals, owner animals, behavioral, and quarantine bite dogs, while working minimal hours and going to school. Yet they are not allowed to do any animal interactions for the residents in your city who are interested in adopting. It's been a revolving door of employees. The current 10 officers have trouble finding a Siaka truck without maintenance issues and a working AC to get a handle on the 370-plus calls. Yet management is actively looking to offer extra services outside of our 14 member and contract cities, adding to our workload. The scheduling hasn't been consistent. We don't get to know our animals and their needs this way. Dedication is not a priority to Siaka. With the cost of living, doing the work of multiple people, and getting no support from management, it has taken a toll on all of us. We have been in contract negotiations for way too long. All we are asking for is your support in reaching a fair agreement with Siaka. Thank you so much.
Next speaker is Charles Leon, followed by Lisa Lozano.
Madam Mayor and members of the Montebello City Council, it is an honor and privilege to be with you tonight. My name is Charles Leon. I'm a coordinator with SEIU Local 721, the city's team. And earlier, one of the speakers, a fantastic SIACA employee, Michelle, spoke to the wage scale. And this is the wage scale, and we'll make sure you also get a copy of it as well. That'll show you the hourly wages of all the existing bargaining team members that we have. It's a relatively small bargaining unit SEIU Local 721 has with SIACA, the Southeast Area Animal Control Agency. As you may know, SEIU Local 721 is a public sector powerhouse for labor and labor rights in the Southern California area. We stretch from the Arizona border up to Santa Barbara. We have really big bargaining units, such as what you may have seen yesterday in the news with LA County and what we're doing up there. But we have different diverse bargaining units, and we love each and every one of them. And SIACA is a bargaining unit, and you are looking at the total bargaining unit right before your eyes. Hourly wages, $16 roughly an hour, $16.74, $17.66, $18.64. It goes on. And if you look at what those hourly wages are compared to the work that's being done in the industry, it is embarrassing. We are incredibly passionate, SEIU Local 721 is, about the workers that we represent, in particular the workers that deal with animals. We know the quote that's famous that Gandhi shared, that you can judge the moral greatness of a society based on how we treat the animals. I think it's all a blessing. Some of you are pet owners. Madam Mayor, I read your bio. I know you're a pet owner. I know other pet owners here in this room. I'm a pet owner. They're no longer our pets. They've now become our fur babies. I recently adopted a puggle that's as cute as can be, that goes bonkers every time I come home at night, and love her to death. But there are professionals that are in the care that, as these animals are in search for a forever home, they are the ACTs, they are the ACOs, they are the folks that work in licensing. And SIACA, 40 years celebration in October. They will have been around for 40 years. It started off with 3 founding cities, Pico Rivera, Norwalk, and Downey. One of those founding cities, the mayor is calling for a report back because of troubling concerns that and things that have been raised about animal care and about staffing. And I believe that the reason that these problems go on for so long, because in general, when you talk about finances and resources and money, and those compete with different needs like public safety, infrastructure, and so on, animal care isn't necessarily always a priority. And I think together as a society, as we move on, we're starting to make it more of a priority. We know that we're not going to solve all of SIACA's problems with one MOU bargaining cycle, but we certainly can try to make some gigantic leaps forward to get us to where we want to go. SIACA talks about revenue. Over time, they have increased their services. You got the founding cities, you've got member cities such as Montebello, you have contract cities such as Southgate, where we were last night. Southgate, for example, has a contract with SIACA. They're supposed to have a dedicated ACO. SIACA is not upholding its commitment to Southgate. They don't have the staff to say to Southgate, we can have you a dedicated person. So the wage scales here, we're here before you tonight asking for your help. You all, we know the public arena is not always an easy arena, but we value the services that you give and ask you to please stick your neck out, do what you can, help these
Thank you,
workers out.
Charles. Thank you for your time. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next speaker is Lisa Lozano, followed by Linda Nicholas.
Good evening, Mayor Peralta and Montebello City Council members. My name is Lisa Lozano. I've been a resident for 23 years, live on Rocky Hill Avenue. I'm simply here just to express my gratitude in person, opposed to liking everything on social media, towards our wonderful Montebello Police Department, and just to thank every one of the officers who put their life on the line every single day. My family and I are always very proud to say that we have our very own police department in our city, and how easy it is to be able to talk to any one of you regarding any concerns. We also do our best to support, show up to the local events that are held to meet our officers, and as for me, myself, to promote the great things that they do, and also to promote the opportunities that are being offered on becoming a police officer. I want to thank the police department and the city, for hosting Coffee with the Cop. It's always nice to see the community gather in a local business and to be able to talk to our officers one-on-one and to get to know them, and just to say a simple thank you for your service. Again, I'm here again to express to our wonderful police department, keep up the great service and morale. We feel the warmth and the human connection with our police department, so thank you. Thank you, Montebello PD, for carrying the weight of the badge. Be safe. God bless you all. Together, we are one Montebello. Thank you.
Next speaker is Linda Nicholas, followed by Rosa Tamayo.
Good evening, Linda Nicholas, co-founder of Match 90640. At the last meeting, you were all complaining about a council member Jimenez's action towards the employees. I would like to remind you each of these facts. Scarlett, you know where I sit at every meeting. And at the last meeting, you said, yelling at any employee is not acceptable. Well, guess you forgot when you screamed, and I quote, "I will fire you," at the former city manager, Rene Bobadilla. I asked him if what I had heard was true and correct, and verified it was you. Well, between you and David, that stupidity has cost our city $2 million. You, Tamayo, at the last meeting said employees should be protected on your comments about Councilmember Jimenez, yet you voted to reinstate David's full power. Guess those 17 employees that filed complaints against David when you reinstated his power didn't matter to you. Their protection wasn't important. Did you hear? Not one, not two, not three, 17 employees. They filed complaints. They were all found credible. The only one to be found to be a liar was your buddy Torres. But you're doing what you were put in that seat to do. Always vote yes. And FYI, you were not the first choice to run. You were number 6. 5 people before you said no. As for you, David, again, you rant and rave and you burn your mouth off. Yet to date, that same mouth has cost the city $5 million in lawsuits and payouts. $5 million. More lawsuits are coming, and they will cost the city twice that much. That, David, will be the legacy for you, the worst council member in the history of the city. When you mentioned Measure H last council meeting, you forgot to thank the former mayor, Copos Cawthorn. She asked you to help pass Measure H, the sales tax. You said, oh no, it's political suicide. You refused to help. So she did it without your help. That is Mayor Copos Cawthorn's proud legacy, the secure financial future of the city of Montebello. Also, I'm happy to see that you're continuing her start with continue to give Citizen of the Month. She's the one that started that. David, your challenger for District 4, Joella Valdez, has stated she will not be accepting the stipends paid by the city and said she will form a fund for residents who are in need of assistance. Wow, an honest person, and you think you can win that? That's cute. David, you've been without a job for almost 5 years. What will you do when you lose? I heard In-N-Out is hiring.
Next speaker is Rosa Tamayo, followed by Raul Hurtado.
Buenas noches, Mayor Peralta en miembros del concilio. Disculpa, Kimberly, pero no sabía que iba a poder estar. Quiero decirles que estoy muy triste porque hay un grupo de líderes fuertes en el sur de Montebello que ellos lideraron que no se hicieran departamentos en el Paul Center. El padre está muy triste, nosotros estamos tristes por esa situación, porque ahora no analizaron los problemas que vamos a tener en el sur de Montebello. La cosa es que va a estar abierto, no hay quien los cuide, estas personas no van a ir a cuidarlas, a cuidar el centro, va a estar abierto para homeless, ellos van a tener frío y van a hacer lumbre y entonces hemos tenido problemas en el río por la lumbre que ellos han hecho y ahí está con mucho problema alrededor de que se prenda un incendio. Además, no va a haber agua, no va a haber luz y va a estar a lo que ellos quieran hacer ahí en esa propiedad. Y pues, desgraciadamente, no analizan lo que hacen y hacen un problema para los residentes. Y además, no hay progreso. Como siempre, no sé quién atrás de todo esto lidera de que no se hagan estas viviendas. En la junta pasada, la señora que habló muchas cosas muy feas de la concejal Jiménez dijo puras mentiras porque no es cierto todo lo que ella dice. Yo estaba con Jiménez y la cosa es que nadie la agredió, nadie le dijo nada, porque yo me comunico en sign language y estamos en la casa de la persona que necesitaba sign language. Y además estaba la otra persona con ella y él estaba ayudándole a ella a quitar los signs. Y otra cosa que los socios sucios
Thank you,
de
Ms.
Montebello
Tamayo.
están con ella. Y yo lo miré en
Thank you, Ms. Tamayo, for your comment. Gracias por su
mi
comentario.
domicilio. ¿Ok? Thank you.
Next speaker is Raul Hurtado.
I'd like to begin by telling you I received this piece of trash in my mail from David Torres that says, under David's leadership, Montebello Police and Fire Department saw an increase in personnel and upgraded resources. I take that to read that David Torres can run the fire department and the police department better than the chiefs. That's the way I see it. I think that he should have said that under David's leadership, we have an abundance of lawsuits. Now, I would like to say that I know where this is heading because the word is out that the police chief has been stripped of some of his duties where he can no longer hire or promote. I have never been a fan of Rene Bobadilla, the previous city manager. But one good thing I'm very proud and glad that he did was hire this police chief. This police chief knows what he's talking about, he knows what he's doing, and he's liked by everybody. David Torres and you, Scarlett, have your fingerprints all over this. When are you going to start to fire people by their incompetence and poor workmanship, instead of firing people because you want to bring your friend in, or because you don't like the way he combs his hair, or because some other reason? You need to straighten out. You guys are ruining the city with all the lawsuits. You know, I hear we're probably going to say that I'm not blaming the city manager for this, but I do believe you're using him as a hitman. I don't think by himself, he would have done this to the chief. You guys better straighten up. I'm telling you, you are really ruining the city. I have to say that maybe Angie Jimenez was correct on a lot of things because of the fact that she felt that the city manager was not competent to hold that job. I want to believe in him. I want him to improve, but you should have never done this because they told you to. That really irks me. And David, I think that you need to concentrate on District 4 and remove some of the blight. You and your girlfriend should stay behind doors. Thank you.
That concludes all public comments on non-agenda items.
Thank you. So moving forward, we do have, let's see here, staff communications on items of community interest. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, Mayor, council members, we have a couple items to report on. I'll begin. The first item I want to report on that I want to say happily that I have appointed Mr. John Soria as our permanent Director of Transportation. As many of you may be aware, Mr. Soria has been serving as the Director of Transportation position since March. In this capacity, Mr. Soria has effectively led our transportation department and significantly improved the service delivery to our residents and our neighboring cities. Additionally, he was instrumental in us reaching a successful agreement with Smart TD. So thank you, John, for your service. We welcome your collaborative management style, and we look forward to working with you. In addition to that, I want to give David Sosnowski the floor to make an announcement on a very special event that's coming up.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. As the City Manager mentioned, we do have a large-scale city event back at it for our annual Heritage Festival. It's a 3-day event, all at Montebello City Park, and some new exciting additions. A little bit of a blast from the past from folks that have been around the city for a long time. But beginning on Friday, October 11th, from 6 to 10 p.m., we have a carnival at Montebello City Park, which includes food, games, and live entertainment. Going into Saturday, where the event starts at 12 p.m., live music, addition of a beer garden, the carnival rides and games as well, some cultural and other performances going on. And Sunday, the big day, Sunday, October 13th, at 8 a.m., we have our 5th annual 5K, 10K run down Whittier Boulevard, commencing at Whittier and Maple, going eastbound up to 4th Street, and using Montebello Boulevard as a loop to get a full 5K and 10K. I'm expecting a large crowd for that again to build off of last year. And then the return of the Montebello Anniversary Parade this year for the 104th anniversary of the city. That parade begins at 10:30, beginning on Whittier Boulevard as well and ending at Montebello City Park, where for the rest of the day there'll be more live entertainment, cultural performances, all in the name of celebrating the city's 104th anniversary of incorporation. And we're proud to invite all the residents of Montebello to enjoy either the parade, the 5K, the cultural performances, or the great food one of those 3 days at Montebello City Park. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next, I want to announce Chief Pelaez. He has an announcement regarding an event that's occurring. Paramedic Squad 56 event.
Yes, thank you, City Manager. We will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony October 3rd at our Station 56. We're going to be rolling out our paramedic squad for that district. So it's going to be exciting. Obviously, we're very excited for it, and it's going to be stationed down in the south at Station 56, and you're all invited to attend. This is a community event, and we're very excited for that. Thank you.
That's it for us, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving forward, we do have a public hearing, and that is item number 4, which is introduce and waive first reading of ordinance number 2479, amending chapter 8.40 of the City of Montebello Municipal Code regarding registration and maintenance of vacant and abandoned commercial, industrial, and residential properties. There is a presentation by Director of Planning and Community Development, Mr. Palumbi, as well as our Assistant Director, Mr. Ramos. Let me go ahead and open, I'll open public hearing after the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Good evening. As you mentioned, item 4 on tonight's agenda does relate to a first reading of a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 8.40 of the Montebello Municipal Code. Per direction from the City Council, staff reviewed the Montebello Municipal Code and identified areas where existing regulations regarding vacant properties could be enhanced. And this is intended to address nuisances impacting the quality of life in the City of Montebello. In a unified approach, the CLEAN Task Force, CLEAN, an acronym that stands for City Leading Efforts Against Noncompliance, would be led by the city's Code Enforcement Division, and this task force would bring together various resources, including the Planning Department, Public Works Department, the Montebello Police Department, the Montebello Fire Department, as well as the City Attorney's Office. And this, among other things, would address common urban problems such as vacant property maintenance, blight, including graffiti abatement, illegal dumping, as well as connecting vulnerable populations with available resources through our MCAP program. Staff believes the proposed amendment is a balanced approach, and this would be aimed at properly monitoring, tracking, and collaborating with property owners to dispatch necessary resources when needed to ensure that vacant properties are maintained and, again, well kept. This ordinance also promotes engagement between city staff and property owners with the intent of activating vacant properties, whether it be permanent or temporary. Again, we believe this ordinance is a major step forward in dealing with ongoing challenges related to vacant properties within the city. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the city council for their consideration. I would also like to thank the city manager for his leadership, my colleagues for their commitment to the success of this ordinance, as well as the city attorney's office for their assistance throughout the process. So at this time, I will hand it over to Matt Ramos, our assistant director, who will provide some additional information. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Palumbi. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I will be presenting information on the requested amendments to Chapter 8.40 of the Montebello Municipal Code. Why we're bringing this forward tonight, Director Palumbi kind of went over it, but I'll review it again. As Montebello continues to progress, we are facing an increasing challenge with vacant and abandoned properties. These properties not only affect the aesthetic value of our neighborhoods, but also pose significant safety risks. We have been receiving more and more complaints from residents regarding these properties and the decline appearance of their community. In addition to community concerns, the City Council directed staff to review our current code and enforcement efforts related to this issue. After review, it's clear that action is necessary to address these concerns. This ordinance represents a balance, ensuring we listen to our residents and businesses while fostering a clean, safe environment for all. By taking a proactive approach, we can improve the quality of life in Montebello. Vacant and abandoned properties have become a source of multiple issues within our community. First and foremost, these properties contribute to blight, lowering the property values of neighboring homes and businesses. They are often poorly maintained, becoming hotspots for illegal activities, and they disrupt the overall appearance and safety of our neighborhoods. Our current regulations are outdated and ineffective in addressing these challenges. They do not provide clear guidelines for maintaining or securing these properties, making enforcement difficult. This has left us struggling to keep pace with the growing number of vacant properties, especially across residential, industrial, and commercial zones. To address these issues, we propose amending our current ordinance. Under the existing code, vacant properties must be registered, but there are no clear timelines for registration or guidelines for maintaining them. The proposed changes will require property owners to register within 90 days of the property becoming vacant and/or abandoned. They would also need to follow specific maintenance and security standards, such as installing fencing, conducting weekly inspections, and organizing security patrols for properties vacant over 180 days. The new ordinance introduces penalties for noncompliance, including a monitoring program with fees. For properties under development or temporary vacancies, we provide clear exemptions to ensure they do not contribute to the issue of blight. The updated code also incentivizes the activation of vacant commercial spaces by allowing pop-up events and attracting qualified temporary tenants. This initiative will enable our economic development team to engage with property owners and offer support to those that are interested. In addition to these amendments, staff are also proposing some changes to the ordinance that include revising the title of Chapter 8.40, adding new definitions and requirements consistent with the proposed amendments. A key element of the new task force and updated municipal code is the abatement process. By incorporating a monitoring program with defined responsibilities for the task force, we strengthen the enforcement of this code. The photograph in this presentation depicts the type of property that we intend to address through the amendment and streamline enforcement efforts. This particular property was part of a collaborative abatement effort, including multiple city departments, including the code enforcement team, the police department, the fire department's MCAP team, and Public Works. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions or comments.
Yes. Are there any questions of city staff, Madam Mayor? Hearing none, then it would be appropriate to open the public hearing. Well, not for final action or comment, but we do need to open the public hearing.
Okay, I will go ahead and open the public hearing at 7:50 PM. Do we have any public comments for this specific item?
We have none.
Okay. Okay, yes, please come up, Mr. Sanchez.
Please step forward, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Joseph Sanchez. Most of you know who I am. I'm glad this was brought up. Hopefully, we can get District 5 changed. I know we have a Starbucks being built on Whittier Boulevard in District 3 off of 2nd Street. Apparently, District 5 wasn't good enough. We have a facility there, a lot there that was purchased to get a Starbucks, to get commerce going in Washington. Hopefully, we can address this to the south now. I'm willing to work who I need to work with to get this done. I'm financially capable to purchase, there's roughly 6 properties right now on Washington Boulevard, one for 2.7, one for 1.7, and one for $4.5 million. I can buy those properties. My wife doesn't want me to because I can't even get the first project started. She doesn't want me to waste our money on stuff that's just gonna stay vacant. So hopefully we can address the south. I know we showed pictures of Whittier Boulevard because that's what we focus on. You know, we brought Starbucks to Whittier, but we wouldn't bring Starbucks to Washington. Even though Washington would bring us more tax revenue because we could use the customers from Pico, Downey, Norwalk. Also, I understand we can use the properties for pop-ups or like our public relations officer in the back. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but if he wants to come down to District 5 and have the community come and meet him and meet our chief, meet our fire chief, the building's there. The building's there for the community. I didn't buy it for me. I bought it for the community. I wanted to show the community I'm not a politician. I didn't run like some people. I don't want to look at nobody. You know, I'm not a politician. I bought the building to better the community. That's what I bought the building for. And like I said, there's 3 other properties, 4.5, 2.7, and 1.7, I think it is. I could buy those as well to develop Washington. But my wife doesn't want me to. That's the only holdback is my wife. Not the bank, no one else. My wife, who I've been married to for 32 years. And I have to live with that woman till the day we die. So I have to listen to her before I spend our millions. Well, thank you very much. If anybody needs to contact me to let me know what we could do for Washington, everybody has my number. It's all public. Take care.
Do we have any other speakers for this specific item? No? Okay, I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:52. So this is now at council level for discussion and motion. Give me a second while I... So up first, we do have Councilmember Tamayo. Do you have any questions or comments regarding this item?
No questions, but just a comment is that it's great to see the different departments that are involved as part of this clean task force, which is planning, public works, the MCAP program that's part of fire and police. So the different departments coming together. It's great to see that. Thank you.
Okay, we do have Councilmember Torres.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This ordinance, I believe, is a symbol of what it looks like when the community, the council, and staff are in sync and synergize. I want to give a shout out to David Viescas, who from the very beginning of my time on council and even as I was running, really lifted up the issues of blight all across the city, particularly in District 5 at a lot of our different commercial properties. And from those conversations and from his attention to that, I started to take a look at some of our surrounding cities and think, what could we do for this issue? In March of 2021, if you can think back that far, 3.5 years ago, I first put on my orals that we should create an ordinance and strengthen the need to address blight on vacant commercial properties. 3.5 years later, and bringing up the conversation over and over again, not accepting that what we had was sufficient, council realized the issue, and we had the second piece in place. From the residents' voices, council acknowledged the issue, and as a body decided that we would direct staff to create this ordinance. The The ordinance that we have this evening is beyond what I initially imagined and goes to really address the issue at its heart. The ways that we're requiring these property owners to provide security on site will address a lot of the concerns that we see about activities that happen on these properties. The necessity for certain signage and the requirement to sign up within a certain amount of time will address our ability to contact these owners and make sure that they're being good neighbors, addressing graffiti and weeds and other unsightly issues on their properties. And at the same time, realizing that it's hard to own a business, that if they're making progress on trying to get tenants, that if they're doing facility improvements, that if they're actively marketing their properties, that this is not supposed to penalize you for your difficulties, that this is really meant to address the bad actors in our city. Right across the street from City Hall, there's Ranch Market on the corner of Whittier and Maple. That property has been vacant as long as I've owned my home, about 12 years. This ordinance is to address properties like that. Properties that sit vacant, that do not produce the tax revenues that our cities deserve, to make sure that we're enforcing good behavior at these properties and our other public safety services and programs. Properties that do not add value to our community. There is no shopping, there is no dining. We drive by year after year and just seeing these properties sit vacant. So all of this to say, really much appreciation and respect goes out to the residents that lifted up these issues. Much respect and appreciation goes out to the staff that crafted this ordinance, and a big thank you to the council that recognized this issue and acted here to craft this. So with that, Madam Mayor, I conclude my comments.
Thank you, Councilmember Torres. Mayor Pro Tem Melendez.
Thank you. Thank you to staff for the presentation, for everybody who worked on the ordinance. I know we're in discussion right now for the first reading, and this might take a little while for us to actually implement it. But I do have a couple of questions. Would it be possible to, at this point, kind of discuss some of the fees that we will be having for the businesses? And also if there could also be a discussion, because I think part of what's important here is for us to, which it's a phenomenal job of amending this ordinance and putting some teeth into it and more enforceability. But I think in order for us to achieve the goal that we want to achieve, I think it's important that we put the right amount of fees. And I do want to take the point that Councilmember Torres said about we don't want to be too, we don't want to make it difficult on some businesses. However, there's others that, with all due respect, we have to make it difficult, because if not, they're not going to do anything. And we've seen it over and over and over. And to your point, Councilmember, there's a lot of residents here that have raised that point to us about nothing getting done in regards to nothing being built there, just vacant property just sitting there, no plan for it, no action. And it does hurt everybody's property value. It does hurt the businesses around it, businesses being broken into in the surrounding area. So one is just the fees of it. And then second, what does the initial outreach look like for those vacant properties that, because I believe we already have some vacant properties, or like there's like a registry, and if not, how does that initial outreach look like?
Thank you. Great questions, Mayor Pro Tem. So first question, the fees really are intended to address the bad actors, right? The monitoring fee. We did bake in exceptions to the ordinance where you could, for example, if you just, maybe worked with our Economic Development Division and had pop-ups at the space, and I think it's 25% of a calendar month, which I think equals about 6 days, you would be exempt from the monitoring fee. If you, and that would have to obviously go through the planning division for approval. So there's some requirements that the ordinance has also baked into it. In addition to that, if you provide your own security service, then you would be exempt from the monitoring fee. Really, we took the fully burdened rate of staff and the time that we anticipate that it would take to sort of monitor the properties that, you know, currently we have 32 properties. There is a requirement to register properties in the code, although not mandated. And really, all they are required to do is just let us know if they're vacant or not, and we keep a record of it. And it's annually. So currently, we do have 32 properties. So I hope that answers the question on the way we calculated the fee. And the way, so, and again, the fee is not triggered for the first 90 days because we feel that that's probably an appropriate amount of time if you're working with, you know, a tenant or even a temporary pop-up, that you could do that within a 90-day period. One thing that I did leave out, if you're in the permit process where you're maybe going to do some construction on the site, then you would be exempt from the monitoring fee. So those are things we added, and we did take into consideration the burden that this could have on property owners. To answer the question on outreach, with regard to outreach, we will have dedicated staff to work with the existing properties. We will work through our code enforcement division to really identify vacant properties, and it's really going to be part of the daily operations, if you will. And we will be communicating with property owners to make sure that they understand. And I think we will sort of have a timeline where we roll this out, so where it's not just an immediate. We will give them advance notice. So I hope that answers your other question.
Yeah, thank you for that. And just one last comment. I don't know if this requires a council vote, but just for future action, maybe getting like a progress report and kind of see where things are at and what we're seeing. You know, this helps us to kind of build, you know, put some policies together to kind of map out the future of the city in certain areas.
Yeah, yes, Mayor Pro Tem, I think it's definitely appropriate, and we're happy to provide a progress report. Obviously, if it does happen, I would maybe talk to staff about what's appropriate, maybe mid-year, and then a year update to council. We're happy to do that.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And then just lastly, I don't have questions, but I just do have several comments. First off, I do just want to really uplift all our staff who really came together to develop this clean task force. I'm sure they've for the past 4 years, I think from all of us here on council, vacant properties and the lack of maintenance of those vacant properties has been one of the most immediate and most important issues that we have raised. I constantly send, weekly emails to city staff about graffiti, about, folks that are trespassing into these properties. And at the end of the day, these properties should be kept, and it falls under the jurisdiction of the property owners, not the city. And so the city has had to step in and really address these issues in the past few months, specifically, for example, like the car wash on Whittier. It was completely tagged up. There was a small fire that was started by folks that were trespassing into these properties. It completely affected just the neighboring area and the residents that lived there with, homeless folks screaming in the middle of the night, causing disturbances. And it's been very unfortunate that despite code enforcement issuing violations, that these property owners have just written off the responsibility. So this type of enforcement and mechanism that we're putting into place, I think is something that speaks volumes in terms of not only staff, but council and our residents, just a comprehensive effort to address these issues in our community. I do want to acknowledge just how innovative the idea of having pop-up events is. We have incredible entrepreneurs, mom and pop, small groups within our community that can't necessarily afford brick and mortar businesses. This is going to be a great opportunity for them to be able to work with the city, to be able to have pop-up events at these vacant properties. So for example, we have a new coffee shop, Roman Brew, that is actually a pop-up inside of Angry Horse. I can see something like that expanding, and other small businesses expanding into these vacant properties to do these types of pop-up monthly initiatives in our community. One, addressing the blight. Two, encouraging entrepreneurship. And three, working with these different property owners to ensure that we're actually bringing in businesses into the city. city versus having them sit there completely blighted and becoming eyesores in our community. In terms of the monitoring fee, I completely do agree. You know, it's time that businesses that have for a long time just written off these properties, these types of enforcement measures are necessary because the city is now going out of pocket within our own funding to address issues on their private properties. To have exceptions, I think is great. I do appreciate, you know, staff acknowledging that those businesses that are in permit processing or that have their own security and maintenance efforts or do participate in this pop-up initiative are completely exempt from those monitoring fees. I do just appreciate the comprehensiveness of this type of item that is coming forward and just really looking forward to the opportunity of coming together to really clean up our city. So with that, I will go ahead and call for a motion to approve the item.
Just really quickly, Mayor Pro Tem, did you have some amendment to the fees that you wanted to discuss or wanted to see?
No, I think more than anything, just once we get that progress report and we can assess what's going on with the situation, then maybe we can touch base again on the fees that we're putting in there.
Sure.
Yep.
In that case, Madam Mayor, I'd be very proud to make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Torres. Can I
I'll
please
second.
get a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. City Clerk, can I get roll call?
Councilmember Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Torres?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Melendez?
Aye.
Mayor Peralta?
And I vote aye, and the item passes with 4 and 1 absence. And moving on, we do have item number 5, consider appeal of decision to revoke business license issued to A&T Pellets, Inc. We do have a presentation by Code Enforcement Manager Joseph Cota.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. This evening, I will be presenting a PowerPoint on the business A&T Pallets located at 1505 Date Street regarding multiple municipal code violations observed at the site. This case dates back to 2019 and has been marked by repeated code violations up to the present day. Despite conducting numerous on-site inspections, issuing formal notices, holding meetings with the business owner, and making significant efforts to collaborate and resolve these issues, there has been no compliance or corrective action taken by the business within the timeframe from 2019 to 2024. This presentation will outline the violations in detail and review the enforcement actions taken. As shown in the photo, which was taken from the public right-of-way, you can clearly see overstacked pallets and a trash dumpster in plain public view. The following municipal code violations were observed during the inspections. Stacking of pallets. Pallets were stacked higher than 15 feet throughout the yard. Inoperable vehicle. A blue truck, which was confirmed to be inoperable and being used for storage, was visible from public view. Obstruction of public passage. Forklifts and vehicles were frequently parked on the sidewalk, and pallets were placed in a manner that blocked foot traffic. Also, delivery trucks were double parked or stopped in the middle of the street to unload pallets, obstructing traffic flow. Failure to comply with red curb regulations. Delivery trucks were observed parking in the red, disregarding the red curb markings. Improper parking, parking on the wrong side of the road. Delivery trucks were parked on the wrong side of the road, often remaining there while unloading, causing further traffic obstructions. And fire code violations. During an inspection by our city fire marshal and fire captain, it was noted that pallets were stacked in a manner that blocked building entrance and exits. Pallets were also stored within prohibited proximity to the property line, further compounding the risk of a potential hazard. The next 2 slides will present images illustrating the observed violations. As shown, pallets are improperly stacked and stored on the sidewalk. Delivery trucks are double parked, and a worker is seen operating a forklift in the middle of the street to unload material. These violations were consistently observed during most follow-up inspections. On several occasions, vehicles were either forced to wait for the truck to be moved or maneuvered around the delivery trucks, creating a traffic hazard and obstructing public passage. On the top left slide, pallets are clearly stacked and stored on the sidewalk, obstructing foot traffic and creating a significant public safety concern. The bottom left slide highlights pallets stored directly along the front property line, extending across the entire frontage, with additional pallets encroaching onto the sidewalk, further restricting pedestrian access. In the right slide, wood debris and trash are visibly stored near the neighboring property lines. These conditions were observed during on-site inspections throughout the property, resulting in further violations and raising serious safety concerns, including potential fire hazards, blocked access for emergency responders, and increased risk to public safety. Timeline. During this ongoing case, we received several calls reporting the violations I previously mentioned. In addition to these reports, I personally observed the violations during multiple on-site inspections. I've also held several meetings with the business owner to address these issues. Despite our efforts, which include multiple administrative citations and notices of violation, the business owner has not yet brought the property into compliance. Some key dates outline the steps we have taken to assist the business owner in achieving compliance. On July 19, 2022, the business owner visited our department and met with my deputy director. During this meeting, the business owner was advised of the specific violations on the property and informed of the necessary corrective actions required to bring the site into compliance. The business owner acknowledged and then complied to the instructions given. On August 3rd, 2022, an office conference was held at City Hall with the business owner, the city attorney, myself, and my deputy director. During this meeting, the violations at the property were thoroughly explained to the business owner, and clear instructions were provided on the necessary corrective actions required to bring the property into compliance. The business owner acknowledged the violations and, in agreement with the city attorney, committed to resolving the issue within a 30-day time frame. Despite this agreement, the required corrections were not made within the stipulated period. On August 5th, 2022, I conducted a joint inspection of the business with our city attorney, fire marshal, and fire captain and fire inspector. Despite previous efforts to work with the owner and providing clear instructions on rectifying the issue, I observed violations related to overstacked pallets. The fire department also identified several fire code violations, and an order to comply was issued by the fire captain, giving the business 30 days to resolve all violations. During this period, while partial corrections actions were taken, the violations were never fully resolved. This resulted in the properties reverting back to full non-compliance, requiring further enforcement actions. Since the delivery of the revocation letter last month, I have been closely monitoring the property. As shown in the photos, parking violations persist, including trucks obstructing traffic, parking in red zones, and improper parking along the street. These ongoing issues continue to pose safety and compliance concerns. It is recommended that the City Council uphold the revocation of the business license due to the consistent pattern of non-compliance. This concludes my PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramos. I will go ahead and open this public hearing at 8:14. At this time, anyone wishing to speak about this item may address the council.
And actually, Madam Mayor, this time, because of the nature of the revocation process, my recommendation would be is to first call forward the representative of the owner of the business, the appellant to this process. So it would be the property owner or their representatives, then anyone who is supporting the property owner or the action to retain the business license. After those individuals have spoken, then it would be appropriate to see if there's anyone who wishes to address the City Council in support of the revocation. And if there are, then they would get to speak, and after that, then the owner, property owner, or their representatives would have a chance for rebuttal. So at this time, it'd be appropriate to call forward the property owner and/or their representatives.
Okay.
And I should note, Madam Mayor, we have received notice from Councilmember Jimenez that because of her work commitment, she won't be able to join this evening.
Thank you. You may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Peralta and council members. I am the legal representative of A&T Pallets. My name's Leon Karakosian. Some of you know me as Levon or Levan. I've been active in Montebello for many, many years. But I really represent the owners of the business, the five brothers and their father, who are all here today. They are Juan, Roger, Freddie, Gabriel, Aurelio, Torres, and Jose Torres. They have been in business since 2009. Other than providing for their own families, the brothers and their business provide jobs to 27 employees. They're here. Can you stand up, all the employees, please? Family members. From 2009, and some of them are citizens of Montebello. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. From 2009 to 2020, they operated their business without incident and without citation. Now, I saw the presentation saying to 2019. I'll step back 1 year and say from 2009 to 2019. Without citation, without incident. As you know from the presentation by staff, since 2019, they've been cited a number of times, correcting some of the citations, then lapsing back into practices which resulted in the citations in the first place. This was not done as a matter of flouting city rules or in defiance, but simply the result of blue-collar working people trying to run their business and focusing on the business. At times, they misunderstood what was expected of them. It is clear to all concerned now what it will take for them to operate, and they are committed to operating within the regulations that govern their business and changing their business practices to make sure they stay in compliance. And the best example now is that they've hired my firm, and I will be on permanent retainer with them, where my office and I will be the point of contact. If there's any incident, any violation at all, I would be there to try and work and fix that problem immediately. That's a step in a positive direction. I'll stop here, and I'd like to ask Roger, one of the owners, one of the brothers, to step forward also. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rogelio Torres. Juan, Freddie, Gabriel, Jose, my father and I run A&T Pallets. We have been doing business in the city of Montebello since 2009 and been compliant with the city since we have numerous inspections with the city and fire department and tried to correct our relevant corrections. We kindly request your reconsideration of the decision of the revocation of our business license and believe that we can do whatever it takes to continue to be compliant. Please take in consideration that we are a humble, hardworking, minority family-owned business and that there are 22 employees and many of them live here in the city of Montebello that depend on us to stay in business. We were able to survive and stay in business and keep our employees during the pandemic. Please take in consideration our long-term customers, suppliers, equipment responsibility to pay, and how it would affect them and us. We got in along with our neighbors and worked together with them. All we ask is for a chance to continue to do business as we have been doing for the past 15 years. Thank you for your understanding and look forward to the opportunity to keep doing business in the city of Montebello.
Good evening, Mayor Peralta, council members. My name is Vacant. I'm here to speak about some of the legal aspects of the Torres family's appeal, because it's not just an emotional appeal. They do have legal grounds on which to appeal the decision. And at the end, I'm going to make a recommendation or a request to the council relating to the license. First of all, I want you to have a basic understanding of the nature of the family's business. What they do is they buy and sell pallets. They're essentially pallet brokers. They don't do any heavy manufacturing of new pallets at their facility. Pallet comes in that's broken, they'll repair it. But it's simply an issue of buying pallets from people who are selling them and then selling them to people that need them. Sometimes that process is out of whack. If the economy isn't doing well, particularly, they may wind up in a situation where they're not selling as many as they're buying. And that leads to one of the issues that staff had identified, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. They've been cited several times, but the reason we're here today and the appeal relates specifically to the August 26th revocation of their business license. I want to go through the alleged violations. There were 5 of them listed, and some of the matters which staff talked about were not listed in that notice, so that I don't think it's appropriate for that to be considered. I think the only thing council should consider is the things that were actually cited for in that notice, and also the revocation. After I go through the violations, I'm going to tell you what it is that they've done to remedy the violations or the alleged violations in lawyer talk. And finally, I want to show you some pictures of what the property currently looks like, so that you have an appreciation that they are trying to comply, and they are complying, and that they will continue to comply in the future. I do also want to note that some of the pictures that staff showed, and I'm not criticizing staff, I want you to understand that they're doing their job, it's understandable. Some of the pictures appeared to be several years old, so that it's not appropriate to consider evidence of pictures that are several years old. And even in the packet that you were provided, there's pictures of equipment that they owned, that they sold in December of 2021, so that they know when that picture was taken. I'm not saying that those mistakes should have some effect on what your decision is, because your decision by law should be based only on the notice that was given and the 5 violations in that notice. The first violation is a violation of Montebello Municipal Code 15.32390, that the pallet storage was higher than 15 feet. And the reason the pallets at times were stored higher than 15 feet was because of what I spoke about earlier, which is the disconnect between buying and selling. When someone comes to sell the pallet, they buy it. And if they don't have someone to sell it to, it stacks up. And unfortunately, their property is constricted, they were going past the legal height, they understand it's a fire hazard, they understand that in the future they need to turn people away, not buy the pallets if they come and they're stacked up. More important, from a long-term perspective, they've bought a second property, not in the city of Montebello, and once they've applied for a business license, it's not been issued yet. Once that property is up and running, it can be used to store excess pallets. The second part of the citation was under a provision of the municipal code relating to an inoperable vehicle, the blue truck that you saw. That truck's been removed. It's not something that can reoccur. They should get a little bit of, I want to say grace almost, for the fact that that's not going to happen again. And I'll show you a picture that'll show that the truck's been removed. The third issue was trash and debris in public view. Again, that's also been removed. And they're committing not to allow that to occur in the future. Part of the reason that that happened was their trash bin was near the street, and you saw a picture of that from staff. That trash bin's been relocated, and it won't be moved back to where it was. The fourth section is actually not a municipal code violation, it's a fire code violation, clearance to important buildings. The clearance needs to be about 11 feet from the property line on either side. And I'll show you pictures showing that they have cleared those lines. Staff had mentioned that there had been a fire department inspection with the city attorney and code enforcement in October of 2022. I did want to point out, and I'm not sure how I would do this, that in January of 2023, the company received a letter from the fire department saying, congratulations, your annual fire and life safety inspection has satisfactorily been completed. So that the most important thing, obviously, is safety, and the fire department had had passed them and said, you've corrected what needed to be corrected. Staff is correct. After that, they fell out of compliance. Now they are in compliance, and we're going to ensure that they continue to be in the future. The final violation listed in the letter was a vehicle code violation for blocking the sidewalk. Again, that's a transitory problem. It's not continuous. One of the pictures that you saw was of a truck that's not theirs. I'm not sure that staff can know that it's not theirs. They can make some assumptions possibly, but again, one of the pictures that was shown is not a truck that belongs to them. So I want to run through some pictures, and hopefully I do this right. Okay. So this is the front of the property. These pictures were all taken within the last day or two. Some of them were taken Monday, some were taken Tuesday. This is the front of the office. You can see that the debris that was there, the truck that was there is no longer there. There's no pallets within 11 feet of the office because that's one of the requirements. You can't have pallets within 11 feet of a building or the property boundaries. This is a further look along, showing again that there's no pallets stacked up there, there's no debris there. This is the eastern edge of the property, and there's the required clearance on that edge. There's a stack of pallets in the back that are being moved back and forth. It's storage of pallets that's a violation. It's not that you can never have the pallet within 11 feet of the fence. This is this is another view of the eastern portion of the property. This is the western portion of the property, again showing the proper clearance. The next the next two pictures are of the pallets as they currently are. The way that they use their forklifts essentially to load the pallets, they'll have two stacks of pallets in the yard. They split it in half, they put that in the back of a truck. Those stacks are each between 7 and 8 feet high. So when they have only two stacks, it'll be within 15 feet. Again, another look at the pallets as they're stacked up. These last couple of pictures deal with the traffic on that street. And these are not vehicles belonging to them. It's just, this is an industrial area. You have trucks pulling in and out. You have trucks backing up behind them. The opposite side of the street from where they're located is completely a red zone. It didn't used to be that way. It was changed to that at some point. And I think part of what went on is just sort of old habits. People used to know that they could park there. This last view, although it's not terribly clear, it's looking towards their facility. And what you see there is that right in front of their facility is an area where cars can park. And because of that, people from other companies park there all day. What we'd like to suggest in order to have these parking issues addressed is that be painted yellow, become a truck-only zone during the day, so that when a truck pulls up to be unloaded, it can stay there for 5-10 minutes, however long it takes. And with that, we're done with the presentation end. I wish I could get up in front of you and say that the council should completely reject the revocation of the license and grant them their license back. I recognize that that's a difficult ask because they have been in and out of compliance for such a long time. Under municipal code, you are entitled as a council to do 4 things. These are to suspend, to revoke, to reinstate, or to conditionally reinstate the license. So again, I wish I could say that we have a very strong case for reinstatement, but what we do have is a very strong case for a conditional reinstatement. What we'd like to suggest is that the council give them 3 months on a conditional basis to continue their business. During that time, code enforcement can go out, make sure that they're in compliance. And 3 months from now, we can have another hearing to see whether it makes sense to revoke the license or to reinstate it permanently. If there are any questions from council, or if staff has any questions, I welcome them, would be prepared to answer them, but with that, it concludes my presentation.
At this time, Madam Mayor, it'd be appropriate if there's anyone else who wishes to speak in support of the property owner and the maintenance of the business license, it'd be appropriate to step forward at this point. Please state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Aurelio Torres. I'm the youngest son and brother of the owners of A&T. And you guys mentioned earlier that there's vacant lots in Montebello and that you guys want to push businesses in for the tax revenue, and that could benefit the city. And that's an extremely good idea. I believe that that's what you guys should be pushing for. But I believe what's going on here is a bit of contradictional, because what you guys are doing now, you guys are pushing a company out that is a tax-paying company that's earning their money. They're out there working with the calluses in their hands and the sweat in their forehead, and they're in there day in, day out, with the help of the workers behind them. And I really hope you guys take that under consideration, because if you guys really do want to benefit the company, the city, and bring companies in, this isn't the way. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak in support of the business owner?
You know what comes to mind? Remember the brownfield, David? 17 years they were told to clean up the contaminated soil. These people aren't contaminating the soil. That soil was contaminated. And what happened to the brownfield? Once you got control of the vote, they were allowed to continue. They're still contaminating the soil. They've been already reported to the same state entity that did the Exxon. So don't be surprised if Montebello gets hit. Look at these people's faces. You, Mayor, they have residents in Montebello. You're not only going to affect the owners. 22 families are going to lose their jobs. Look at these people. These are humans. Understand what you're doing. Have consequences. They're trying. This is a business in Montebello. Montebello is not a business-friendly city. We've always had that title. I would recommend at least doing what they ask. Give them 3 months conditional, because you gave a 17-year violator, brownfield, you gave them a free pass.
Yo soy Rosa Tamayo y quiero decirles también que mucho les he dicho yo. Necesitamos negocios en Montebello. Todas estas familias que están manteniendo sus familias tienen sus casas aquí en Montebello. A unos yo los conozco. Tienen sus hijos en la universidad. Mantienen bien a sus familias. Son muy buenas personas. No son traqueteros, ni tampoco la familia Torres es tracatera. No hacen el problema de contaminación en el aire. Como dice la señora Nichols, que también, yo también les he dicho que el otro negocio tiene un problema muy grande en el drenaje. Y ustedes no hacen nada para arreglar ese problema. Pero las paletas mantienen familias muy honestas, muy progresivas, y yo pienso que tienen que tener su licencia para seguir aportando taxis. Yo les he dicho mucho que pagan mucho tax. Así que, por favor, devuelvan su licencia a esta familia. Gracias.
Yes, ma'am, please step forward. I know you've been waiting to speak. No, actually, Ms. Gregorian?
Yes.
This lady right here has been trying to work her way towards the front of the microphone for,
I was going to,
well, why don't you go ahead and speak, and then ma'am, if you'll stay right there, and
Oh,
this way you'll,
I'm sorry, there
you
was
know,
someone in
we'll
line.
make sure.
Go ahead. Do you want me to speak? Yes, go ahead. Okay, I can wait. Hi, Madam Mayor and City Council and all. It's a coincidence that I'm here.
Ma'am, we do need your name for the record.
I'm sorry, Marquita Clark.
Thank you.
I'm a resident here of 32 years in Montebello, and I'm coincidentally a 32-year employee of Monarch Litho, who is just across the street from this company. And I have worked there for 32 years, and I was surprised to see the photos, because as I come and go at all hours of the day and night for my employer in this gated community or business, I have never seen some of the photos that were shown, but I do agree with the photos in that from time to time, when their inventory exceeds some of the space, some days are busier than others. I have never, ever seen that blue truck. I've never seen anything parked or pallets on the sidewalk ever that I recall. I just see that they're a thriving business and that there's a lot of coming and going. But I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to address the city council in support of the business owner?
Chile Gregorian, resident of Montebello for most of my life. And I find it, I can't understand this. Why are you giving a business a hard time? We need more businesses in Montebello. Businesses are leaving Montebello. Instead of working with them to resolve the problems, that is what should be done, instead of taking their licenses away. This is ridiculous. We need to be more business-friendly in Montebello. Without businesses in Montebello, our city will not exist. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the city council in support of the business owner? Please step forward. The record should reflect the known as stepping forward. At this time, ma'am, you've had a chance to speak. Anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in support of the revocation of the business license? The record should reflect the known as stepping forward. Therefore, there would be no need for rebuttal, Madam Mayor. And at this point, it comes to the council. You can close the public hearing and bring it up to the council level.
I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 8:41, and I shall bring it to the council level. For today, we do, okay, Councilmember Tamayo?
So based on this issue and the chronology of the events, but also based on the testimony of the ones that are here and including the neighbor across the street, is there a way to do or I'm proposing to do a conditional, based on, like, really, but setting strict and clear next steps, and if those aren't not abided by, then to revoke the license. So
Are you asking a question?
if the vote, is the vote on this issue, or can it be amended, I guess is my
Well,
question.
It's up to the council level. Your options are as follows. One is to uphold the request to revoke the business license. One is to overturn and support the appeal, the request to, the appeal of the revocation of the business license. I think if I'm understanding Councilwoman Tamayo correctly, you're looking to take possibly no action this evening and to give additional time to the business owner for a period of time to try and make sure that they are in compliance? Or am I misreading your statement?
Just as a clarification, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, just a clarification point. It would stop, you would need to take action even if it's a conditional, because technically, as of now, their business license is not approved, so they technically can't do any work. So if you were to do a conditional approval, it would be in that action. Now, I do have a question for staff, though. Is there, in the code, is there a set time? I know, for example, the business owners were saying 3 months or so. I think council may want to know if there, or do they set the terms in terms of how long that conditional approval would be for?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. There is no set time in the code, and the, as the city attorney mentioned, the council does have the ability to conditionally reinstate the business license. It would, I think, be the recommendation would be, and I think the applicant's representative asked for a 3-month progress report. It is not uncommon. For example, with a conditional use permit, we do compliance reviews to make sure that they are adhering to the conditions. I think we just need to stipulate what those conditions are. I think they would need to, ensure that we do not experience any code violations that have been previously noted. I think 3 months for maybe 1 year, we do like quarterly updates. I think that would be appropriate.
If I may, Madam Mayor, one of the concerns, at least from a legal standpoint, is, yes, I mean, Mr. Palumbi is correct. You could overturn the revocation of the business license and put conditions and then have it returned back to you. I would caution the council from taking action on the actual revocation, because my fear would be is if the revocation is overturned and the business owner fails to comply, then you're going to have to start that revocation process all over. What I would suggest is, if the council wants to allow the business owner to continue to operate, is to take no action on the appeal, but to, instead of enforcing the revocation at this time, that the revocation still stays in place but is stayed. So in other words, the enforcement of the revocation is postponed to a date, 3 months, 6 months, whatever the time period the council feels is appropriate. And if if there is compliance by the business owner and a continuous operation that's consistent with the municipal code, then at some point in time down the future, then at that point, the council could consider upholding the appeal, and then that way they don't have the revocation still in place. But I don't want to have staff go through this whole process all over again. So that's a consideration. If the council is inclined to go in that path, I can help frame that motion.
Does that conclude your comments and questions?
Yes.
Okay. And so we have Councilmember Torres.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Question for staff, was this considered by the Planning Commission? I don't see anything in the agenda.
Councilmember Torres, this was not considered by the Planning Commission. Our municipal code provides for an appeal to the City Council in this case.
Sure, thank you very much. Just a few comments here. As the representative for where this business is located, and trying to find a balance between residential, commercial, and industrial areas, I do have to say that it is a very common experience of the residents in District 4, and especially those that border the industrial areas, that we find extensive impacts. And part of these extensive impacts, and this goes for really all the industrial areas in the city of Montebello, I think come from changing missions on code enforcement, and more recently, I think with issues like the Brownfield District, with some of the activity that we're seeing in some of these areas, that mission has shifted to provide more attention in these industrial areas. With the non-compliance to the regulations that are set forth in our ordinances, that are set forth in health and safety codes, we find that there are a vast amount of city resources that are dedicated to just a few properties. As we can see in this instance, when you look at the agenda, there are multiple visits to this property, which mean multiple reports, which mean multiple photos, which mean a lot of attention, where we could be spending not these same enforcement actions, but where we can be dedicating enforcement actions to cars that are parked on red curbs on corners in residential areas, where we can be putting attention to a lot of the blight that we mentioned in the previous ordinance, and in a lot of the other issues that residents report. So just all of this to say that, I believe that this council has, and going forward will be paying a lot more attention to what's going on in our industrial areas. Our streets are torn up, and it affects everybody, right? It affects that business that does that action, as well as all the neighbors there. The way that the pallets were stacked that we saw in these photos, I appreciate the worker from Monarch Litho providing her own testimony as to that this is an intermittent kind of situation, but I do have concern for the health and safety of the workers there. This council has entered into a project labor agreement that talks about providing proper working conditions for those workers on projects that the city engages in. We have been very vocal in supporting the rights and the abilities and the conditions of workers in a lot of different areas beyond the PLA. And so here is another opportunity to very honestly and directly address some of the conditions that we see at this property. I had another question for staff. In these instances that are listed in the agenda, have there been fines that have been assessed and paid?
Yes, there have been fines that have been assessed. That's correct. I don't know if we have the amount, but we can get that if you like. There have been.
Thank you.
So total fines, it's $6,084, $800 which the business owner has paid.
800 out of the 6,000?
800 to 6,000.
Okay. And just to really quickly mention as I go through my notes here, there was a comment by a resident trying to liken this situation to the brownfield districts. I'm not going to go into detail because that's not the topic of this conversation, but it's just outright false that it's not a direct corollary, it's really apples and oranges. I would agree with some of the comments made and with what my colleagues said that this city has had the perception that it's not business friendly, that we can be heavy-handed. As a representative that's been on council for the last 5 years, I've kind of approached things as a tabula rasa, right, as a blank slate. I do like to give the opportunity, at least when it comes to my desk, beyond what experiences may be with other people or departments or whatnot, to try and encourage better behavior. I think with this conversation here, we see that we're kind of at this crisis point, right? This inflection point where things can go either way. I would agree with my colleague that I would like to hope that the business owners comply with the requirements, that there are no further violations, recognizing the jobs that you provide, the work that you do, the 15 years that you've been here in the city. That's something that I want to respect. At the same time, I do have concerns for the workers. I do have concerns just in general for the residents that surround the industrial areas. And so I would like to see a period longer than 3 months to make sure that this is not a seasonal compliance issue, that this is something that is well ingrained into the operating processes of the business. I would like to add that there should be written procedures that are submitted to the city talking about how you will go about addressing these violations in the not these violations, but addressing these situations in the future. What happens when you have too many pallets? What happens when they end up on the sidewalk? How quickly will that be addressed? I would like to make sure that, and I'll leave that to staff as to what extent and what procedures should be in place, but just so we understand each other, what the baseline is for those actions. And then lastly, understanding that not all the fines have been paid, that be completed as well. All of that to say, this is one of those situations where we're trying to strike a balance. We see that there's been these instances of non-compliance over the last 5 years. This is an opportunity to encourage good behavior and good partnership. And with that, Madam Mayor, I conclude my comments.
Thank you, Councilmember Torres and Mayor Pro Tem Melendez.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to first start off saying that a remedy like my colleague, Councilmember Tamayo, stated is something that that's the path I want to go into. However, I do have to talk specifically to the business owners that I know everybody here looks like good people, hardworking people, and that means well. However, it has been 5 years of violations, and we got to make sure that we get this cleaned up, that we, in voting for something here today or allowing or extending, there's also potential issues that can arise from that, right? And there could be unsafe conditions, and we want to make sure that when we allow for something to happen here, that this gets figured out, this gets fixed. 1/3 of the existence of this company has been in violations, 1/3 of the time. I mean, so again, I would like to echo that in order for us to provide some remedy that the fees get paid off, that would show good faith. That would be one way to start getting things going. I do agree that, I'm going to be very blunt about this, we cannot continue to have staff just babysit this property to assure that stuff's being compliant. We need some responsibility from the business owners. We are thinking a lot here. We are seeing staff here. We are seeing, we don't want to put anybody outside of work. We want to make sure that families are fed. We want to make sure that, that people can get to work, but there has to be a responsibility as well. And it's been 5 years. We need to assure that this gets figured out, this gets fixed. I know we started with, getting a legal team. That's one way, but I would like to see the fees getting paid. I would like to see a progress report. And, if this happens again, if there's another violation, I don't know if doubling the fees or whatnot. Again, we're not trying to hurt a business, but we're trying to make people accountable and responsible for their operations of their business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I do really have to echo both yourself and Councilmember Torres in terms of the balance, right? As council members, we're either criticized for not cleaning up our city or being too lenient or not caring about, how our community looks. And then on the other side, we're criticized if we do revoke a license for a business that has been non-compliant for 5 years. Where do you strike that balance, right? As you can see, we are really taking the importance of cleaning up Montebello, of ensuring that we address vacant businesses, that we address businesses that are not compliant, those that are becoming eyesores, those that are affecting and impacting the daily lives of not only surrounding businesses, but neighbors that live within these areas. I think for me, the big question is, why did it take a revocation of a business license to finally decide to be compliant? 5 years of having investment in staff, inspectors, fire department, code enforcement officers going down to the business to file complaints, to issue notices of violations, to issue penalties, to try to work with the business and just being completely ignored. I think that, for myself, I do find that to be very disrespectful in terms of us trying to work with the business and trying to ensure that they meet this compliance. As businesses, we want to make sure that you also have pride in investing and working here in the city of Montebello and working with us in terms of not only creating job opportunities, but at the same time having pride in keeping your areas clean, in abiding by compliance and making sure that there are safe working conditions. It shouldn't take a revocation of a business license to finally decide to want to, be in compliance. So I think today what we really are striking for is that balance, right? Making sure that we're not necessarily affecting working families, but at the same time, we also need to clean up Montebello. We need to take care of our community. We need to take care of years of deferred maintenance, lack of, I would say, responsibility that we have seen from business owners. I do very much agree that the conditions set forth, those fees need to be paid. $800 out of $6,000 of fees that have not, that have only been paid. That's, again, it's lack of accountability. There does need to be these, I would say, conditions set forth in terms of ensuring future compliance. And what I would not like to see is that once that that time frame lapses, that we continue to have these issues again a year from now or 2 years from now. I do want to ensure that moving forward, you also understand the position that we are in terms of the balance that we need to strike and what we're trying to do to clean up the city. And please respect, right, the decisions that we make and the willingness of trying to strike that balance and work with businesses that have not been compliant. So I do appreciate, this conversation among my colleagues in terms of these types of issues that are coming forth and really having to be in these seats and really consider the different perspectives. I do want to thank staff as well for the time that you've also invested, 5 years of trying to work with this business. And with that, I will go ahead and call for a motion. If there are no other questions or comments, yes, go ahead. Or, yep.
Madam Mayor, if I may inquire, is there a time period that you'd like to revisit this issue? I've heard different time periods, so.
Just for clarification points, and just for staff's understanding, we are staying, we're leaving the process as is, we're just.
What I would suggest we do, and is if the council is not going to either uphold or overturn the revocation, which I would recommend that you don't, if you're going to continue to take further evaluation, what I would suggest is that you identify a period of time that you're going to push this out. I would then want to ask of the owner's representative, Mr. Karakosian, to step forward and put on the record that they are in agreement with that. So in other words, we're taking no action tonight. We'd reopen the public hearing, take no action tonight, have confirmation that they're not objecting to pushing this out down the line, and then the council could take action to whatever period of time and whatever action the council wishes to take.
Mayor Pro Tem has a comment?
Yeah, just a question. So at this point, if we move towards that direction and they agree with it, they're still operating the business, right? And we're just giving them time to.
Well, on the condition,
On the conditions that we're.
conditions would be is that the business owner would be allowed during this interim period to be allowed to continue to operate their business, and that the revocation would be stayed.
Okay.
Is there a time that is recommended? I do agree that beyond over 3 months should be something that we should reach, simply because I think 3 months is too little bit of a short time for conditions.
I have a question of the business itself or its representatives. We mentioned that there are at times conditions where the pallets are more than what might be typical. Is that seasonal or is that completely random?
And let me first inquire, because you do have a counsel, legal counsel. So, Mr. Karakosian, is it okay with that? Yes. The owner speak? Okay. So please step forward and again, state your name for the record.
My name is Rogelio Torres. Yes, it is seasonal. There is times where we could get 1,000 pallets in and only 200 go out. And there is times where it's backwards, where we need 1,000 pallets and we only get 200 in. So it is seasonal.
Are there particular seasons where you see those overages?
No, it's the economy. When the economy is good, we sell a lot of pallets. If it's slow, our yard fills up. So we can't control that.
I want to also remind everyone. that
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Leon Karakosian again. Remedially, they have now purchased property outside this area, property where they could store excess pallets, where it won't be the situation that we were looking at this past 5 years. So that's clearly a sign in direction and trying to improve condition. They're just waiting for the final approval from the city. It's miles out of here, so there's no question about that.
I appreciate the possibility, but it sounds like that is not yet finalized or implemented. So I think the period.
It's on the verge of being. That's why I'm mentioning that.
Sure, I appreciate that.
And Mr. Karakosian, before you sit down, since you're let me inquire from you on behalf of your client and the business owner. If the council was to take no action tonight, move this item down whatever period of time the council decides, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it may be, stays the revocation, allows the business to go back into business, and keep the public hearing open to come back and revisit the issue. On behalf of your client, would you be agreeable to that on the record?
Let me confer 1 minute.
Okay.
I got 2 thumbs up. basically saying, yes, they
So the
would,
answer is
they
yes.
would agree with that.
So with that, then, Madam Mayor, I think then the appropriate motion would be is to reopen the public hearing, to continue this matter for, and then I'll leave it up to the council, whatever period of time, to, as a condition of the continuance is to stay the revocation. In other words, what that means is that the revocation is still in place, but you're not enforcing, stay the enforcement of the revocation. And this way, if it comes back and they are compliant, then the council can take whatever action it feels appropriate. If they're not, we don't have to go back through all the hoops again.
Excuse me, Mr. Glassman, one caveat there is that, yes, if you say 6 months, they will comply, and hopefully we come back 6 months later and we say they've complied, and I would like that in the resolution or whatever you're going to pass now, to say that at that point, this would terminate.
Right, so there's no action on the appeal.
Okay.
And in that situation, your client doesn't have to file for a new appeal, and the city doesn't have to go through a process of restarting up the revocation. So it puts everything on hold, gives them the opportunity to operate, and that if the staff and recommendation is to overturn the revocation, they'll report that to the city council, and the council can take the action. So that, I don't know if there's a fee involved in filing the appeal. This way, they don't have to pay it again either, so.
That's a good solution, and I hope you adopt that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, City Attorney, staff wanted to mention something? Joe?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. I do have one question, and I think I'm going to rely on our finance director for a little bit of guidance here. So currently, there is no business license. It's been in essence revoked, pending the reversal of council per the code. Would we, in essence, approve a temporary business license, and is that possible? Because they would need a license to operate, and I just want to make sure we're clear here.
Yeah, well, Mike.
Michael. Yeah, that's why I was mentioning that some type of action needed to be taken.
About a temporary business license, I mean, I think we have issued those, but that's a good point, Mr. Palumbi, that, if there are business license fees that have to be paid, they'd have to be paid in order to, reinstate the business license.
That's correct. We don't have the option for probational or temporary business license, but by staying the enforcement of the revocation, I think we can read between the lines with what that means.
So, Mr. Katakosen, so that the point there is that if there are business license fees that must be paid, they'd have to pay them as a condition of staying the process.
That's fine. One additional thing, staff or whoever would decide, that one yellow zone that we would like to see that happen, that would help go toward the parking problems outside too, and something staff can consider.
I think our Public Works Director is going to weigh in on that item. I think that's a different process, right?
Yes, sir. So, yes, what your client could do is submit something to us in writing, and then we will have our traffic engineer review.
Okay,
And
all right.
that item would be presented in front of the Traffic and Safety Commission, obviously pending any sort of approval for that.
Okay, thank you.
So, Madam Mayor, I've used some legal terminology, but this is a practical approach towards a balance of what I think I've heard, so.
Understood.
All I think we're looking for is a time.
Yes, my colleagues here, would you like to suggest an appropriate time to have this hearing be continued to?
I would just throw out numbers, 6 months. To have enough time.
Well, no, Director Palumbi had suggested like 3 months for a year, so that it's not just a short-term fix, but that we assure that long-term that this issue gets addressed.
So to clarify, a year with 3 month quarterly?
I think the latitude of 3 months to a year, and allowing staff to make that decision when they come back and report back.
Yeah, right, and that if there is compliance, it won't be back to you. If there isn't, it will be back to you right away. So why don't we say that the matter will be continued? I would rather set a date specific, so I think 6 months would be a good starting point. However, that if there are failure to comply, staff can bring that forward. Of course, we'd have to give notice to the business owner, but if they're, if they look at this tonight as a opportunity to keep, in non-compliance, we'd want to have staff be able to bring that to the council's attention. So, if I may assist, Madam Mayor, in framing the motion, thank you. At this time, then, would you, the mayor, please reopen the public hearing?
Okay, so I will go ahead and reopen the public hearing at 9:10 p.m.
And it then would be appropriate to entertain or consider a motion that stays the proceedings tonight and continues this matter for a period of not to exceed 6 months, that the business owner, A&T Pallet, is going to be authorized to operate their business. They will have I don't want to use temporary, but a conditional business license, if you will, provided that they pay their any business license fees that are obligated and outstanding. Secondly, is that they continue to correct all the code violations that have been identified by city staff, and that if they continue to do operate in a lawful manner, then staff will bring this back to you in 6 months with a status report. If there is non-compliance, staff will have the opportunity to bring it back to you with notice to the property owner in a shorter period of time, and that period of time is 6 months, as I mentioned. And I think I covered all points.
Madam Mayor, I'd make the friendly amendment that they provide written policies and procedures addressing the violations and how they're going to go about remedying those in the instance that they find themselves in that situation before staff, comes across it. So, whether it's addressing it in 24 hours or what have you, but that they have policies and procedures in place talking about the violations that we see.
They the business owner, A&T has policies in place, and you want them to provide those policies to city staff? Okay. So they will establish policies and procedures for efforts for compliance, present that to city staff for review and putting those on file.
Okay.
Is that,
So with that motion read into the record, can I get a motion, or can I get a first, I would say?
Motion?
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, so motion by Councilmember Torres, second by Councilmember Tamayo. Can I please get roll call?
Councilmember Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Torres?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Melendez?
Aye.
Mayor Peralta?
And I vote aye as well. And the item passes 4 and 1 absence. So that takes us now to our consent calendar. Mr. City Attorney, can you please read the statement of approval on consent items and allow the council to pull items for discussion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is there any cards that have been turned in on consent agenda items?
Yes, we have one speaker card for agenda item number 6.
Item number 6? 6, okay. With that, I will poll the council in order of tonight's agenda, starting with council, and just for the record, this is for consideration of items 6 through 19, 6 through 19, and we'll start with
With the exception
Councilmember-
of 8. With the exception of 8. No,
Oh,
yeah,
except, yeah, I'm sorry, except item number 8. Councilmember Tamayo.
No items.
Councilmember, I'm sorry, Mayor, Councilmember Torres,
No items.
Mayor Pro Tem Melendez,
No items?
I'm sorry, Mayor Peralta.
No items.
And before we go for request of the vote, in speaking with Mayor Pro Tem Melendez on item number 15, he, because it has not been pulled, he will be able to still participate in the consent. It will not be discussed separately, but Councilmember Melendez will be not participating on the vote on that item. and we'll reflect that in the minutes as not an abstention, but not participating. So we have no other items being pulled. It would be appropriate to entertain a motion to approve all items with the exception of item 6 and item 8. Well, 8's being held over, so just item 6.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Melendez. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Torres. Can I please get roll call?
Councilmember Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Torres?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Melendez?
Aye.
Mayor Peralta?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
No.
And with the exception of item 15, which you're not participating.
And I will go ahead and vote aye.
That takes us back to item number 6. We have one speaker card?
Yes, we do. We have Linda Nicholas for agenda item number 6.
This is the adoption of resolution number 24-71.
I'm a little confused. Do you know what item AB 1439 is? I think it covers exactly what you're trying to pass. It's named the Levine Act, Senate Bill 1439. It was enacted and signed into law by the state of California. So no matter what you vote on, my understanding, the state law always supersedes any local laws.
Okay,
That's the only speaker card, so we can move forward on taking action on this item.
if there are no comments by my colleagues, I will go ahead and ask for a motion to approve.
Motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Torres. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Tamayo. Can I please get roll call?
Councilmember Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Torres?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Melendez?
Aye.
Mayor Peralta?
And I vote aye. Item passes 4 with 1 absence. Moving forward, we do have AB 1234 travel reports. Looking across the aisle, none to report. I will go ahead and move to council orals, and we do have one by Councilmember Tamayo.
Excuse me. I had a speaker card for number 8.
Ma'am, that item was pulled off the agenda, so we will not be hearing speaker cards for that. We will not be conducting public comments for that item today. Going forward with Councilor Tamayo?
Yes, so in continuing with the topic of cleaning up Montebello and taking care of our community, I am seeking consensus to give direction for the creation of a team to address the issue along the 60 freeway. There's a lot of trash along that 60 freeway, specifically that on-ramp off of Vale, so when you get to Vale and you go east on Vale. So this is a collaboration, I understand, with Caltrans because that is the state property. So I know it's not an easy task, but I also invite the mayor to join in this collaboration because it does stretch out to District 2. So it's like District 1, District 2, all along that 60 freeway that there's a lot of trash that's compiling.
Yeah, if I may, Councilmember Tamayo and City Manager, I believe the City of Commerce successfully approved a MOU with Caltrans, which allows them to access properties that may be within their jurisdiction to remediate any type or abate any type of issues. If that's something that we can look at to bring forth as well, including this strike team, I think that it would be great to be able to begin cleaning up some of these areas that sometimes might not necessarily be maintained on a continuous basis by other agencies such as Caltrans. And I will say that right off the Finley exit, off the 60 freeway, it is completely full of trash, and it's literally that exit is literally on a residential area of Montebello, and so cleaning that up is a priority. So I appreciate you bringing this forward. Can we get a roll call for that?
Councilmember Tamayo?
Aye.
Councilmember Torres?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Melendez?
Aye.
Mayor Peralta?
And I vote aye. And if there are no other councils this evening, I will go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem. We will adjourn at 9:20 PM this evening. Thank you, everyone.